Hello everyone, this is Tony. Welcome back to Trophy Food Experiences. Today I just want to do a short video on my thoughts on the Michelin rating system. Now that Michelin is now in Vancouver, I know how it works in the local market, and for many years I've followed Michelin and never really understood it as well as I think I do now, because of course now I have it in my own local market. So these are just my thoughts. They're kind of random thoughts and just my perceptions of the Michelin rating system. I don't have any proof of it, but I thought I'd share these with my viewers. I'd like to start off by just thanking my viewers and subscribers. I don't go on camera often. I'm so happy about my viewers and subscribers following me, providing comments, whether it be good or bad, and sharing. So I really appreciate you following me with this journey, and I hope that you enjoy my videos and that they kind of add to your enjoyment of food. I'm like everyone else. I'm just a foodie. I enjoy food, and I'm not a food critic. I don't have any particular expertise in food. I'm not a chef, but I hope that makes my reviews a little bit more authentic. All I can say is I do love food. I do travel quite frequently, and when I do travel, I do try to go to Michelin star or recommended restaurants or good restaurants that are atop of the list in TripAdvisor, and hopefully by comparing and contrasting different restaurants in different cities, that is useful to viewers. Let's talk about the Michelin system. I actually like the Michelin guide more than any other guide. I follow it, and whenever I go to a city, I always look up the Michelin recommended restaurants. I think there's at least a standard, and there's a criteria that they follow. Whether you agree with the criteria or not, that's another story, but at least they follow a standard criteria. So I did this video just to try to explain in my own words the criteria and what I see based on when I go to Michelin restaurants in other cities and what I've seen with what they've done in Vancouver. So a couple of points. Number one, I think it's fair to say that most 2-star or 3-star Michelin restaurants are going to be really, really good. They're going to be above grade in terms of the food quality and the service quality. Most of them are going to be pretty expensive also, so it's going to be an experience and a night. So I wouldn't go to these restaurants if you are rushed for time. It's really going to be the highlight of your night. Number two, I want to make sure that people understand that Michelin is not a popularity contest. The restaurants that they give stars to or recommend may not be the most popular restaurants in town. And that's important to distinguish, because when you go to a city, you may want to know where locals eat. That's not what Michelin wants to do. Michelin wants to say, when you go to a city, these are, in their opinion, the best culinary experiences. That does not particularly mean that locals will go there. And so I see that in Vancouver, even though a lot of the Michelin stars restaurants here in Vancouver are very popular restaurants, not all of them are the most popular restaurants among locals. And many of them, because of the pricing, may not be that popular with locals. The next point I want to make is that Michelin does not really look at pricing. So many of their restaurants in the 3-star, 2-star, and even in the 1-star rating are going to be pricey. They don't look at value for the money. They look at quality. And so you can expect, in many instances, particularly at the 1-star level, that you may be paying what you would consider overpriced money. That's because Michelin does not really look at, again, the pricing or the value. When they look at value, they look at what they call bib gourmand restaurants, which provide some value. The other thing that Michelin says is that they only rate on food quality, and they don't take into account other things such as setting. In my opinion and in my experience, that is not true. Michelin is highly affected by the setting. And that means a lot of times, in my opinion, they will give a star or a higher rating to a place that has a very nice setting or that's put into a nice hotel. And so I would kind of be cautionary when you see that. When you see Michelin rating a restaurant that's 1 star or recommended in a very upscale hotel or a great scenic tourist kind of place, you have to take that into account, that is part of their rating. And I've seen that in Paris, I've seen that in South Korea, and generally speaking, they will be affected by setting. With 1-star Michelin restaurants, in my opinion, a lot of times what I would look for is what they would call either 2 or 3 or maybe even 1 if you can find it, dollar symbols. That means the less expensive 1-star Michelin restaurants. Once you get to the more expensive 1-star Michelin restaurants, particularly if they are in iconic settings, expensive hotels, part of that rating, in my opinion, has to deal with the setting. With Bib Gourmand restaurants, in general, I've had a very good experience with them. They may not be as value as Bib, as Michelin rates them, but in general, you have a fairly good experience. And with recommended restaurants, I would say that is more hit and miss. So I don't put a lot of credence in Michelin recommended restaurants because, for example, in Vancouver, I think there's over like 60 or 70 recommended restaurants. And so they can be spotty in terms of that choice, particularly if you're looking for value. The other thing I notice with Michelin is they tend to like restaurants in the same group. So for instance, if there's one chef that they particularly like, and that chef is associated with 2 or 3 restaurants, in general, they will actually rate or recommend all of their restaurants. I'm not saying that's good or bad, but just to let you know that there's a tendency that I see with Michelin. Now that I have seen Michelin in action in Vancouver, a couple of things I kind of want to note. First of all, Michelin has 9 1-star Michelin restaurants in Vancouver. And by and large, they are all good restaurants, very high quality. Some of them, I would say, are not in my taste palette, but I don't deny that all of them are great restaurants. Having said that, some of them, in my opinion, are overpriced, and in my opinion, are not restaurants that would be local favorites. So when you come to Vancouver as a visitor and you go to a Michelin restaurant, they may not be local favorites. There may be other restaurants that are more favored or more frequented by locals. And I would always put a bit of grain of salt in any restaurant that Michelin recommends because, again, we are talking about a certain palate and a certain criteria. And you have to understand that at least in Vancouver, Michelin has an association with Tourism Vancouver. So what Tourism Vancouver wants to promote is what Michelin will rate. And so there is a spin on it. There's a specific spin in each jurisdiction. And because we are not, as consumers, aware of the criteria or the spin that the certain tourism association in that city wants Michelin to rate, then it's very hard to know the criteria. So what I'm saying is that it is not an end-all be-all. I think Michelin is a very, very good rating system, but I would not live and die by it. There are many great restaurants in cities that I visited that are not Michelin rated. And what I do when I go visit a city is I will, generally speaking, look at the Michelin ratings. I will try out a lot of 1-star, fairly affordable restaurants. And I will also look at TripAdvisor and look at the top restaurants, maybe the top 20 restaurants, and look at those reviews because those are consumer reviews like you and me. And so I put a lot of credence in those also. I hope you have found this video useful. Until next time, happy eating.